Alabama folk singer is dead after she was attacked by a pair of coyotes.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He hit your face off!
We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
Baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980.
Okay, here we are, part 4 of our North American bear attack series. I think we're here. Last week I said we were only going to do 3 parts. I broke my promise mid-episode. But yeah, like we seriously, there's so much information in this list, especially when we go into the different sources that the list links to. And I just didn't think we'd be doing justice to it if we rush through it. So today we are doing our final part, hopefully, part 4 of bears and bloodshed in North America, from the year 2000 all the way to the present day to the 2020s. We are going to talk about all the confirmed bear attacks in North America that is on this list. So sit back, get ready, and realize I didn't even introduce the show. I should probably do that. Hey everybody, this is Man Eaters. It's the only true crime podcast on the internet where all the killers are real animals. I'm James, and today we're talking about black bears, polar bears, brown bears, drop bears, bears like big homosexual men. No, I'm just kidding. The last 2 aren't involved at all, except for the last one, because I'm a bear. I'm not. If I was gay, I think I'd be a bear. Can you be a straight bear? If you can, that's what I am. Anyway, we are jumping into it, starting right off at the 2000s, guys. The first bear attack in the 2000s. Now, it looks like there aren't actually any polar bear attacks in the 2000s, or maybe even the 2020s. I'm not sure yet, but we will see. Our first attack took place on July 14th. And just a reminder as well, this list goes in order of bear, not in order of year. So it's chronological throughout the different bears. So for example, we're doing brown bears first, but we might go back in time and do some black bears afterwards. So our grizzly bears, our brown bears, first victim was George Tullos. He was 41 years old. He died on July 14th of the year 2000. It was a wild bear attack in Hyder, Alaska. Tullos' partially consumed body was found at a campground near Canada-US border in southeast Alaska. The bear was shot and killed. Timothy Hilston, a 50-year-old male, was killed on October 30th. That's my birthday, in 2001. How old would I have been? I would have turned 8 that day. I was 8 years old the day this man died. He died in Ovando in Montana, or near Ovando in Montana. Hilston was attacked as he field dressed an elk in western Montana. That basically means skinning it. A female bear and her cubs suspected in the attack were killed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife officers. Hilston's widow sued federal and state agencies for negligence, and the lawsuits were dismissed by District Court Judge Donald W. Malloy. Now, the next story, if you've been a podcast listener of this podcast for since the beginning, we did a whole episode on this one. The next death, or 2 deaths on this list, it's Timothy Treadwell, otherwise known as the Grizzly Man, and his girlfriend and partner, Amy Huguenard. Timothy Treadwell was 46 years old when he passed away on October 5th, 2003, and Amy Huguenard was 37 years old. They died approximately at the same time at Katmai National Park in Alaska. Now, if you want the whole story, you can go back and listen to our Grizzly Man episode. I believe it's episode 2 or 3 of this podcast. And you can even listen back and see how much worse this podcast has gotten since then. Treadwell and Huguenard's corpses were found by their pilot in Kaflia Bay. Treadwell was famous for his books and documentaries on living with wild bears in Alaska. State troopers investigated the incident, recovered an audio track for the attack. State troopers investigating the incident recovered an audio tape of the attack. The 2 were killed on the last night before their scheduled pickup after spending several months in the Alaskan wilderness. The attack is chronicled in the 2005 American documentary film Grizzly Man by German director Werner Herzog. yeah, listen to that episode of the podcast because I go into like detail, but there is a tape that was recovered that does have the audio of the attack of these two people. Apparently it's bone chilling. Werner Herzog is like the only person I think in the world still to have listened to that tape. There are things on YouTube that claim to be audio of the tape. They're blood curdling as well, but there is no indication that they are accurate. Okay. Isabella Dubé, I think that's how I pronounce it. She was 35 years old and she died on June 5th, 2005 in Canmore, Alberta. Dubé was killed while jogging with two friends on the Bench Trail. After an initial attack, Dubé climbed a tree while her friends sought help. The bear brought Dubé down from the tree and mauled her. Fish and wildlife officers shot and killed the bear. At the time of the attack, the trail was closed and the public had been told to avoid it. A few days earlier, the bear had been relocated from Kenmare to Banff National Park. Kathy Huffman, 58 years old, and Richard Huffman, 61 years old, they were both killed on June 23, 2005 at the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska. The Huffmans were attacked while in their tent on a campsite along the Hula Hula River, 19 kilometers upriver from Katovik. 2 days later, the campsite was discovered by 3 rafters while the bears were still nearby. A bear chased the rafters down the river for over half a mile until it finally gave up. Later, North Slope Borough police officers investigated the scene, shot and killed the bear at the campsite. Arthur Louis was our next victim. He was 60 years old when he died on September 20th, 2005, near Boron River, British Columbia. A female and 2 male cubs attacked Lowry or Louis, I'm not sure, Louis on a remote forestry road. He was walking back to his gold mining camp after his car broke down. That's interesting. You don't really think of gold miners in 2005, but there you go. Jean-Francois Page is our next victim. He was killed near Ross River in Yukon. Page was mauled while stalking mineral claims. He unknowingly walked right past a bear den containing a sow and 2 cubs. He died on April 28th, 2006. Don Peters was 51 years old. He was a male. He died on November 25th, 2007 near Sundre in Alberta. Peters' body was found 200 meters or 660 feet from his parked truck. He was on a hunting trip. An autopsy confirmed that he died due to a grizzly bear attack. The bear that attacked Peters was captured and killed the following April. Stephen Miller. Now this is a story I alluded to in the last episode. Stephen Miller was 39 when he died. He died in Big Bear Lake in California. Again, an ironic name. Now, Rocky was the name of the bear. Rocky was a bear trained to perform in movies and turn on his handler, fatally biting him on the neck. Prior to the attack, the bear was featured in the movie Semi-Pro. Pepper spray was used to subdue the bear. Now, what's really interesting about this is that there is actually audio, or there's a video of this happening. Stephen Miller, I'm going to try and find it. He's appearing with the bear, and the bear, like, sort of, yeah, I'll see if this is it.
He did the one thing.
Ignore the shitty music.
That's great.
Okay. Where is he?
Is he bleeding?
Yes, he is. He's bleeding.
Okay.
Is he doing okay? No. Okay.
Really still.
Okay.
He's not breathing anymore.
He's not breathing anymore?
No.
I want you to take a deep breath and cover his mouth with your mouth, making a tight seal.
I was applying CPR. At this point, I had pepper spray.
Okay, that's clearly from some sort of documentary, but yeah, in the video, he's appearing on camera with this bear, and the bear basically turns and grabs him by the neck, throws him to the ground. Another man jumps in. He sort of gets wrestled around as well. They come in and beat the bear with sticks. They spray, it looks like pepper spray, yeah, at the bear. The Stephen Miller kind of looks like he's pretty calmly. He wanders off screen, but he actually died really quickly after that as well from blood loss. So yeah, Rocky, he was in the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell. He wrestles Will Ferrell in that movie. So if you watch Semi-Pro, The scene where Will Ferrell fights a bear, that same bear killed a man a few years later. Our final brown bear attack of the 2000s was that of Robert Wagner, or Wagner, I guess it is. He was 48 years old. He died on October 1st, 2008 at Sundre, Alberta, which was about just under a year after Don Peters died in the same place from the same thing. Wagner was reported missing after not returning from a hunting trip. His body was found less than 1 kilometer away from his parked truck. An autopsy revealed that he'd been killed by a grizzly bear, which was shot by wildlife officers. Okay, we have a number of 2000s black bear attacks, so we are going to get through those as well. As always, if there's anything interesting here, we'll click the reference and we'll see if we can read the newspaper article as well. Glenda Ann Bradley, age 50. She died on May 21st, 2000. In the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee. Bradley was attacked and partially consumed by a mother bear and her cub, 1.5 miles upstream of Elkmont, Tennessee. It was the first fatal bear attack in the southeastern U.S. National Park. While hovering over Bradley's corpse, the bears were shot and killed by park rangers. Mary Beth Miller died on July 2nd, 2000. She was 24 years old, near Valcartier in Quebec. Miller was attacked while on a biathlon training run in the wooded area on a military base. The bear was trapped and killed 4 days later. Kyle Harry was 18 years old. He died on June 3rd, 2001, near Yellowknife, Northwest Territories in Canada. Harry was attacked while with another teenager at a rural campsite 25 miles east of Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories in Canada. Adelia Maestras Trujillo was 93 years old, and I think at 93-year-old, this is the oldest person on our list so far. On August 18th, 2001, she was killed in Mora, New Mexico. Again, this is also the first time New Mexico has made it on this list. A bear broke through a glass pane to gain entry to Trujillo's house and killed her. Trujillo's body was found in her kitchen. The bear was shot 0.5 miles or 8.8 kilometers from their house. Esther Schwimmer. Oh, God. Yep. So we go from the oldest person on the list to the youngest person on our list. Esther Schwimmer. She was 5 months old. On August 19th, 2002, in Fallsburg, New York, a bear knocked Schwimmer from her stroller, which was near the porch of her family's vacation home. The bear carried the infant in its mouth to the woods. Schwimmer died of neck and head injuries. Damn. 5 months old. Christopher Bezula, 31 years old, died on September 1st, 2002, near Fort Nelson, British Columbia. After going for a walk behind a trailer, Beduza was attacked at a remote oil rig site in northeastern British Columbia. Maurice Malenfant was 77 years old. He was a male. He died on September 29th, 2002 at Saint-Zenon-de-Leu, Hamuk, Quebec. French, I'm not great at it. Malenfant was attacked in his campsite at the Gaspé region of Quebec. There's not much more information about that one. Marilyn Carter was 71 years old. He was a male. He died in Nonarcho Lake, Northern Territories in Canada on June 14th, 2005. Carter was found dead behind the main cabin of his fishing camp. Carter's son came to the cabin the day after the attack and shot and killed the bear. Later, the Hay River Airport was named in his honor. That's nice. Harvey Robinson, 69-year-old male, was killed in Selkirk, Manitoba in Canada. Robinson was fatally mauled while picking plums north of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Robinson's family were investigating the area with an RCMP officer later that day, and they were also attacked. The officer shot and killed the bear. Harvey died on August 26, 2005. On September 6, 2005, only a few days later, Jacqueline Perry, a 30-year-old female, was killed in an attack at a remote campsite. Her husband was seriously injured trying to protect her with a Swiss Army knife and was later given a Star of Courage from Governor General Michele Jean. Sorry, I can't pronounce that name. Ministry of Natural Resources staff shot and killed the bear near the area where the fatal attack occurred. This happened at the Missinarbi Lake Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada. On April 13th, 2006, Elora Petrasek, 6 years old, was killed when a bear attacked her family at a waterfall near a campground. Petrasek's mother and brother were also injured. The bear was trapped and killed, and an unrelated bear was mistakenly killed. This occurred in Cherokee National Forest in Tennessee. Samuel Evan Ives was an 11-year-old male who died on June 17th, 2007 in Unita National Forest in Utah. Ives was grabbed from a family tent in American Fork Canyon and mauled. State wildlife officials killed the bear, which had entered the campsite the night before. Ives' family sued the U.S. Forestry Service because there was no warning about the bear's presence. A judge awarded the family $1.95 million. It was the first known fatal black bear attack in Utah. Robin Kocherok, 31 years old, female, died on July 20th, 2007 at Panorama Mountain Resort, British Columbia. She was reported missing after mountain biking. A black bear was found near her corpse the morning after her disappearance. The black bear was shot on sight by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I was wondering how long it would take the Mounties to show up on this list. Damn. Cecile Valois, 70 years old. She died on May 30th, 2008, near La Sarre in Quebec. After she did not return to her cabin following a solo fishing outing, her husband went looking for her. He found a bear dragging her body into the woods. Donna Munson, 74 years old. She died in Ouray, Colorado. Munson had been feeding bears for a decade and was warned repeatedly by wildlife officials not to. After a bear was injured in a fight with an older and bigger male, Munson left food out to help the injured bear. The older bear came back to Munson's property, forced its way past a wire fence, and mauled Munson. Later, wildlife officials killed 2 bears on Munson's property. One of the bears had a necropsy. How do I say that word? One of the bears had a necropsy. Necropsy, fuck off, I don't know. Which revealed evidence that it consumed... It was an autopsy, let's just say that. Shit. She died on August 7th, 2009. And our final black bear, and final bear of the 2000s, this woman's name was Kelly Ann Waltz. She was 37. She died on October 4th, 2009. That's my dad's birthday. This was a captive bear, and we haven't had one of those for a while. The location was Ross Township in Pennsylvania. Waltz, whose husband had an expired license to keep exotic animals, was attacked while cleaning her pet bear's cage. She tried to distract the bear by throwing dog food to the opposite end of the cage. A neighbor shot and killed the bear. Okay, so there you go. I am noticing a dramatic decrease in the number of captive bears that are popping up on this list. I think it's probably because as we progress onto like a more modern time frame, it's just less and less appropriate to keep bears because for the exact reasons that we've learned in this series, that they kill and eat little children. Okay. We are going into the 2010s. And as always, when there are polar bear attacks, they start off our list. So the first person killed by a polar bear happened 8 years into the decade. It was Aaron Gibbons, who was 31 years old. He died on July 3rd, 2018 at Sentry Island, Nunavut. A polar bear approached a man and his children on Sentry Island. The man, identified as 31-year-old Aaron Gibbs from Aravat, put himself between the children and the bear. He was attacked, causing fatal injuries. The bear was killed by other people who were in the area. So he saved his kids, it looked like. Later that year, actually it was a month and 20 days after this attack in 2018, Daryl Kunak, 33 years old, he was attacked on August 23rd, 2018 in Leon Inlet in Nunavut, so same area. 3 men from Nunavut, whose boat had broken down, were having tea in the morning of August 23rd when a female bear and cub surprised them. Leo IJJANGIAQ, I don't know how to say that word, fired a rifle to scare the bear, but it attacked Laurent Jr. Utik before killing Daryl Kunak. The mother and cub were killed. During the next 3 days prior to being rescued, more bears approached 2 survivors and at least 1 more bear was killed. Okay. I think they might be the last... those are the last polar bears on our list, so that was it. Okay, let's move back to... Yep, the 2010s. We're talking about brown bears now, I think. Yes, brown bears. Okay, so the first person killed by a brown bear in the 2010s was Erwin Frank Ervet. He was 70 years old at Shoshone National Forest in Wyoming. This is quite a lot of information here, so this might be an interesting one. Everett, a field botanist, was mauled by a grizzly bear while hiking in the Kitty Creek drainage area of Shoshone National Forest, just east of Yellowstone National Park. The bear was trapped and tranquilized earlier in the day by a grizzly bear research team. 2 days after the attack, the bear was shot and killed from a helicopter by wildlife officials. Initially, it was reported that Everett ignored posted warnings to avoid the area due to the potential danger involved with the bear research. However, the sheriff's deputy who recovered the body and members of Everett's family stated the warning signs were no longer present. A report released the following month confirmed that the warning signs were removed, though it also asserted that Everett knew there was a bear research study being conducted in the area. Everett's wife filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the federal government, but it was dismissed by District Court Judge Nancy D. Freudenthal. Frank was 70 when he died. He died on June 17th, 2010. Only just over a month later, Kevin Kammer was 48 years old. He died in the Gallatin National Forest in Montana. Kammer was in his tent at Soda Butte Campground when a mother bear attacked and dragged him 25 feet, which is 7.6 meters away. 2 other campers in separate campsites were also attacked. A teenager was bitten on the leg, and a woman was bitten on the arm and the leg. The bear was caught in a trap set at the campground using pieces of culvert, which is a bit of fish, I think, and Kammer's tent. Later, the bear was killed and her cubs were sent to Zoo, Montana. The mother bear's unusual predatory behavior was noted by authorities. The next few attacks occurred in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Brian Matayoshi, he was 57 years old, and he died on July 6, 2011. Matayoshi and his wife were hiking at the Wapiti Lake Trail and came upon a mother grizzly bear in an open meadow. The couple began to walk away and the bear charged. After attempting to run away, Matayoshi was fatally bitten and clawed. Matayoshi's wife hid behind a tree, was lifted from the ground by the bear and dropped. She played dead and the bear left the area. She was not injured. An initial investigation by the National Park Service found that the bear's actions were defensive against a perceived threat to her cubs. Since the attack was not predatory and the bear had no known violent history towards humans, no immediate action was taken towards the bear. The bear, however, was later killed after it was found to be at the site of another fatal attack on August 24, 2011. A later investigation determined that the couple's running from the bear was a mistake, and the fatal attack was 1 in 3 million occurrence. Let's talk about that other attack that they just mentioned then. I believe that was on John Wallace, who was 59 years old. This occurred on August 24, 2011, as stated before, at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Wallace's remains were found by hikers on the Mary Mountain Trail northeast of Old Faithful. Wallace was hiking alone. An autopsy showed that Wallace died from a bear attack. According to a report released by Yellowstone Rangers, park officials had attempted to give Wallace a lecture about bear safeties, but he was not interested, calling himself a grizzly bear expert. Not coming across really good here, John. DNA evidence later determined that the same sow that killed Brian Matayoshi on July 6th, 2011, was in the vicinity of Wallace's corpse, though it was not proved this bear killed Wallace. The bear was killed by park officials. Evidence showed that Wallace was attacked after sitting down on a log to eat a snack, and the attack was predatory rather than defensive. Our next victim's name was Thomas Puerta. He was 54 years old. He died on October of 2012. Sorry about that. He died on Chinchagoff Island in Alaska. After passers-by spotted an unattended skiff, they investigated and encountered a grizzly bear sow and 2 cubs. Alaska State Trooper and Sitka Mountain Rescue personnel then found evidence of a campsite and fire on the beach. There was evidence of a struggle, and upon following a trail of disturbed vegetation, they found Puerta's body, caged and partially eaten. Richard White, he was 49 years old. He died in Denali National Park in Alaska on August 24th, 2012. White was backpacking alone along the Toklat River after hikers found an abandoned backpack and torn clothing. Rangers investigated and found a male grizzly bear sitting on White's remains. The bear was shot and killed by an Alaska state trooper. An autopsy of the bear and the photographs recovered from White's camera confirmed the attack. The photographs in White's camera showed that he was taking photos of a bear in a span of 8 minutes from 50 yards, which is 46 meters away, to 91 meters away. It was the first fatal bear attack recorded in Denali National Park. Adam Thomas Stewart was a 31-year-old man who died in Bridger Tetlon National Forest in Wyoming on September 4th, 2014. Stewart was conducting research alone in the Bridger-Teton National Forest in northwest Wyoming near the southeast corner of the Yellowstone National Park. This is a high-density bear habitat, and he was in Cub Creek. After he failed to return, a search party found his body. The coroner suspected it was a grizzly bear, but the species hasn't officially been determined. The pathologist noted pre-mortem puncture wounds to Stewart's skull, indicating the cause of death was from a bear attack. The FWS report says he was not carrying bear spray or a firearm. The next victim, their death occurred in Alberta, in in a county in Alberta. It doesn't matter. His name was Rick Cross. He was 54 years old. He died on September 7th, 2014. Cross was a hunter, and he was killed by a mother bear when he accidentally got between her and her cubs. Park rangers stated that it appeared that Cross managed to fire his rifle before being overwhelmed. RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, said it appeared that he wandered into the area where the mother and cub were feeding on a dead deer. Ken Novotny, he was 53. He died near Norman Wells, Northwest Territories. While on a hunting trip near Norman Wells, Novotny was charged and struck by a bear. Friends reported he had just killed a moose and was in the process of gathering the carcass up when the bear came out of nowhere. He died on the scene. Authorities later found and killed the bear responsible for his death. Claudia Huber was 42 years old. She died on October 14th, 2014, near Teslin in Yukon Territory. A 25-year-old healthy male grizzly bear broke into a home and chased the victim and her husband outside. The bear pursued and attacked Mrs. Huber. Her husband, Matthias Linger, shot the bear and killed it, with the possibility that one of the bullets also killed the victim. Damn, we've got to read. That's fucked up. All right. We are now reading that article. Okay. Autopsy shows grizzly that killed Claudia Huber likely hungry but not ill. What is this we are reading? Okay, this is an article from Cottage Life, a website. Please don't make me sign up to read this. I'm not reading it. I want to see if we can find some information about him potentially shooting his wife, because that's very sad. No. There's nothing in here that really claims that, so I don't know where that claim is coming from. But if it is true, it's very interesting. Our next death occurred in where else? Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. Lance Crosby was the 63-year-old victim who died on August 7th, 2015. Crosby, an employee at a medical clinic in the park, was reported missing when he did not report to work. A park ranger found his body in a popular off-trail area less than a mile from Elephant Back Loop Trail, an area in which he was known to frequent. His body was partially consumed and covered. Puncture wounds on his arms indicated he'd tried to defend himself. Based on the presence of a sow grizzly and a cub in the area, the sow was deemed responsible for the death. The sow was captured and killed after it was found to be the bear that killed Crosby. There were also public appeals to not kill the sow, but the park superintendent decided there was a risk that the sow might kill again, based on the July 6, 2011 and August 24, 2011 killings in the park, where another sow was present at both those killings. We just discussed those. That was of John Wallace and Brian Matayoshi. Those are the two people they were just talking about. Okay, next victim. This person died in Flathead National Forest in Montana. His name was Brad Treat. He was 38 years old. Treat and another man were on mountain bikes on U.S. Forest Service land near Half Moon Lakes. According to the official board review report of the incident, Treat's mountain bike collided at high speeds with a large male grizzly bear after rounding a blind curve in a trail. Holy shit, can you imagine riding your bike and going around a corner and just slamming into a grizzly bear? The bear immediately attacked Treat in response to being struck by the bicycle. The second rider escaped uninjured and summoned help. The bear was identified via DNA from a previous research project, but was not captured or killed because its behavior was a natural response to a surprise encounter involving physical contact. As sad as it is, yes, it was just an accident. Nothing could have been done there, and the bear didn't deserve to die. That's exactly what any animal would do if it was struck by a bike. Eagle River is the location of our next situation. Mike Soltis, he was 44. Soltis was day hiking alone along the Eagle River. After failing to return, a search party was dispatched. Rangers found a grizzly bear sitting on Soltis' remains. The bear then attacked the search party, badly mauling one researcher. The search party retreated from the area. The bear escaped before more searchers arrived. Seems like it survived. He died on the 19th of June, 2018. This attack occurred in Wyoming, but not at the national park that we've mentioned so many other times. The victim's name was Mark Uptain. He was 37 years old. He died on September 14th, 2018. Uptain, a guide for Martin Outfitters, was cleaning an elk that he and his client Corey Chubon had shot when the bear attacked. The bear was a sow with a 1.5-year-old male cub. The hunter and his guide were dressing an elk carcass and had left a canister of bear spray and a Glock 20 pistol out of reach. As the bear attacked, Chubon, unfamiliar with the operation of a Glock pistol, was unable to fire and attempted to throw it at Upton, who failed to catch it. The bear turned on Upton. Chubane fled with injuries as the bear attacked Upton. After staggering 50 yards, which is 46 meters, uphill from the dead elk, Upton was killed by the mother and possibly by the cub as well. The bears were shot and killed by a Wyoming fish and game official. Okay, so I've said this before. I'm an Australian. I'm not a big gun guy. I think that the American fascination with firearms is like kind of lame, really, really kind of dumb. However, if you are going out hunting and there are bears in the area and you're going to bring a firearm, can you at least know how to use it? Because this guy could still be alive if this guy knew how to use that kind of Glock. Yeah, all right. The next victim, this guy does not have much information on him. His name was Anthony David Montoya, 18 years old. He died on October 1st, 2018 on Admiralty Island, Alaska. So we've talked about this place before. Montoya was working at a remote mining site on Admiralty Island where he was killed and eaten by a brown bear and 2 cubs. All 3 bears were killed. Okay, 2 more brown bears left in the 2010s, and then we're on to the black bears. There's another French name. These get me. Valérie Thiore, who was 37 and a female, and Adele Rochult, who was 10 months old. Still not the youngest person on the list, but probably the second. They passed away on November 26, 2018 in Yukon Territory. The mother and child were attacked near their cabin while on a trip to manage trapping lines. The child's father, Germond Rochult, shot the bear dead when he returned to the cabin and it charged him. And finally, Julien Galfier, who was 44, died in Toledo, Northwest Territories. The French composer and sound man was traveling along the Mackenzie River to record sounds of nature for a musical project. While he was asleep in his tent, he was grabbed by a grizzly bear and taken away and eaten. His corpse was found the next day. He died on August 15th, 2019. Only 3 years ago. We're getting to the pointy end of this list, guys. We're nearly done. Okay. We are moving on to black bears now. Black bears that attack people in the 2010s. So we're going all the way back to 2010 now to Columbia Station in Ohio. Brent Kandra, he was 24 years old. Kandra was a bear caretaker on the property of Sam Mazzola, who kept exotic pets. The bear was out of its cage for feeding. Prior to the attack, Sam Mazzola had his license to exhibit animals revoked, but he was still allowed to keep the animals that were already on his property. He also accumulated dozens of dangerous exotic animals despite past convictions and losing his license after animal rights activists complained he was making money by letting people wrestle bears. If all that is true, he's another one of those people that I'm really thinking he should probably deserve this. Also, bear caretaker. That name only applies when you take care of the bears, not when you're being an asshole. Okay, moving on. Bernice Aldolphe. I don't know. She was 72 and she died in June of 2011 near Lillooet, British Columbia. Aldolph's remains were found by police dogs after she was reported missing. She was an elder in the, I don't want to mispronounce it and be disrespectful. It's XAXLI''P, First Nation. There was evidence that bears fed on Aldolph's remains and tried to enter her house. The autopsy confirmed that she died from a bear attack. 5 bears suspected of being involved were killed by conservation officers, and DNA tests confirmed that one of those bears had killed Aldolph. Lana Hollingsworth was a 61-year-old female killed on July 25th of 2011 in Pinetop Lakeside, Arizona. Hollingsworth was attacked by a 250-pound, or 113.4-kilogram black bear while walking her dog at a country club. Nearly a month later, and after 11 surgeries, she died from a massive brain hemorrhage, which the doctors believed was a result of the attack. The bear was tracked, shot, and killed. Robert Weaver was 64 years old. He was attacked on June 6, 2013, near Delta Junction in Alaska. Weaver was attacked by a black bear while walking back to his cabin on George Lake, according to his wife, who was able to flee inside the cabin and was uninjured. A 104-kilogram adult male black bear was on the scene and killed by troopers found to have had some of Weaver's remains in his stomach. Lorna Weaver was 36 years old when she died on May 7th, 2014, near Fort McMurray. Weaver, a Suncor worker, was attacked at the remote North Steepbank oil sand mine site while walking back to work from a trip to the washroom. Efforts by co-workers to scare off the bear were unsuccessful. The Mounties shot and killed the bear upon arrival. A preliminary investigation determined the attack was predatory in nature. Dash Patel was 22 years old. He died in September 21st, 2014, near West Milford, New Jersey. And I think that means New Jersey. This is the first time Jersey's been on this list. Patel was about to begin hiking with 4 friends in Apshwawa Preserve when they met a man and a woman at the entrance who told them there was a bear nearby and advised them to turn around. They continued on, found the bear, and Patel and another hiker took photos. They turned and began walking away, but the bear followed them. The hikers all ran in different directions and found that Patel was missing when they regrouped. Authorities found Patel's body after searching for 2 hours. A black bear found in the vicinity was killed, and an autopsy revealed human remains in its digestive tract. According to the State Department of Environmental Protection, this was the first fatal bear attack on a human in New Jersey on record. Thought so. Daniel Ward O'Connor was 27. He was attacked and killed on May 10th in 2015 near Mackenzie in British Columbia. Ward was killed and eaten by a bear while he slept near the fire pit at his campsite. His fiancée, who slept in a nearby motorhome, discovered his remains the following morning. The bear was later shot and killed by conservation officers. Barbara Paschke. She was 85 years old when she died. September 27th, 2015 was her date of death. She died west of Kalispell in Montana. Paschke was attacked inside her home near Kalispell by a black bear. According to the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks, Paschke regularly illegally provided grain and birdseed to bears on her property and had been cited for illegally feeding bears and other wildlife in 2012. Paschke died of her injuries on October 1st, 2015 in Kalispell Hospital. Officials trapped and euthanized two food-conditioned black bears on Paschke's property, but were unable to capture or remove the bear that attacked Paschke. DNA identified one of the euthanized bears as a sibling of the bear involved in the fatal attack. There are 3 more bears in the 2010s. Patrick Cooper was the third last victim of a black bear in the 2010s. He was 16 years old. He died on June 18th, 2017 in Indian, Alaska. Cooper was chased and killed by a bear while participating in and competing in the juniors division of the Bird Ridge Trails running race. Cooper called his brother, as he descended his trail, to say he was being followed by a bear. Searchers found the runner's remains 500 yards, 457 meters, from the trail and shot the bear in the face with a shotgun, which scared the bear away and forced him into the woods away from the body. Aaron Johnson died on June 19th, 2017 at 27 years of age. The location was Pogo Mine, Alaska. Johnson, a contract employee for Pogo Mine, was killed while collecting soil samples. The bear was shot and killed by mine personnel. And Catherine Swiat Mueller, she was our last victim of a bear in the 2010s. She was 62 years of age, and she died on September 1st, 2019, in Red Pine Island, Ontario. Swiat Mueller left her cabin on an island on Rainy Lake, Ontario, to check on her dogs and did not return. Police sent to find her encountered a large black bear near her body. The bear was behaving in a predatory manner and was killed on the spot. And we have now made it to the 2010s. Like I said earlier, there are no polar bear attacks going forward, only brown bears and black bears. We're going to start with the black bears and work our way forwards now. Daniel Schilling was 46 years old when he died on July 29th, 2020 in Hope, Alaska. Schilling was killed while clearing a path several miles behind his cabin. An empty can of bear spray was found at the scene. There were no witnesses to the attack. Austin Pfeiffer was 22 years old. On September 20th, 2020, he was attacked by a bear. Pfeiffer was on a 10-day moose hunt with a friend near the Chisana River drainage. He was cleaning a moose they had killed when the bear attacked them without warning. Pfeiffer was killed by the bear. This occurred in Wrangell St. Elias National Park and Reserve in Alaska. Charles Carl Mock. He was 40. He died on April 17th, 2021 in West Yellowstone in Montana. Wilderness guide Chuck Mock, who was 40, was attacked on Thursday, April 15th, 2021 while fishing north of the West Yellowstone near Baker's Hold campground. He was mauled by a 20-year-old male grizzly bear likely defending a moose carcass near Yellowstone National Park and died in hospital on April 17th. The offending bear was shot and killed by wildlife authorities after it charged them. David Lertzman, 59. He died in Waiporous in Alberta. Lertzman was attacked and killed by a bear determined to be a female brown bear while out jogging. The bear is suspected to have attacked Lertzman from behind, sending him off a 300-meter embankment. That's an interesting one. Okay, we're going to look into this because it sounds like he wasn't killed by a bear directly, but he fell off a cliff. All right, we're going to have a look here. University of Calgary senior instructor killed in suspected bear attack. Let's see if we can find anything about that. Okay. He was a senior instructor at the University of Calgary, and he talked about his love of the outdoors in a video posted on April 21st. This article mainly is talking about the guy himself and how sad it is. He had a nice beard. It's weird? I after doing this for so long, for 4 episodes, kind of dehumanized a lot of these people because it was from so long ago. But clicking on this article, there's a picture of the guy. This is like a year ago. It just puts it in a bit of a different perspective. He was a long-term martial arts practitioner as well, and a meditation instructor. Damn. Okay, well, I can't find anything about him falling off the cliff, so... Our next victim, this person is unidentified. We have no idea who they are, but they were 68 years old when they died. This woman was attacked and killed by a bear while walking on trails of her private property. That's interesting. An aggressive grizzly sow with a cub was observed shortly afterward by wildlife officers nearby. A mature, non-lactating female grizzly bear with worn teeth was then captured and euthanized, with DNA testing confirming this was the responsible bear. This attack occurred about 24 kilometers away from the May 4th, 2021 attack that killed David Lertzman. However, the DNA testing confirmed that different bears were involved. This occurred on the 25th of May, 2021, near Water Valley, Alberta. It's interesting to me that she's an unidentified female. When that happens, typically, they're like homeless people or people with no one near them. To have private property, I would assume you're not homeless. So I don't know. Interesting. The next victim's name was Leah Davis Locan. She was 65. On July 6, 2021, Locan was attacked and killed in her tent near her campsite in Powell County by a grizzly bear. The bear had wandered into the campsite multiple times before the attack. The grizzly bear was later identified and killed by wildlife officials. This attack happened at Orlando, Montana, which is a name that has come up quite a few times. There are 2 more brown bear attacks on this list, and we're done with them. Craig Cloutarier was 40 years old when he died on March 25th, 2022. So this year. Wow. That's crazy. It's a few months ago. He died in 6 Mile Creek Park County, Montana. His main body was discovered on March 25th. Okay, so his body was found on March 25th, but he could have died earlier than that. Sergeant Seth Michael. Wow. Sergeant Seth Michael Plant, 30 years old, May 10th, 2022. Very recent. A group of soldiers were attacked by a sow while mapping out a training site for a land navigation course. Their presence prompted the bear to emerge from its den and knock down 2 of the soldiers. Seth was the one that died. Damn. That was in Alaska. Okay. That is all the brown bears on this list. We made it. I only have 5 more bear attacks that are recorded for this history. They are all black bear attacks. The first was on July 20th, 2020. Peter Franzak. He was 67 years old. He died in Red Lake, Ontario. Franzak went berry picking in the morning and did not return. Officers of the Ontario Provincial Police went to search for him and found his remains along with the black bear in the vicinity. Post-mortem examination later attributed Franzak's death to the bear attack. The bear was killed by police when they arrived at the scene. Stephanie Blaze was 44 years old. She died on August 20, 2020, in Buffalo Narrows, Saskatchewan. Blaze was communicating with her father from a satellite phone while camping with her 2 children and husband at a family cabin on McKee Lake when the bear attacked her. Her husband, Curtis, was inside the cabin's kitchen 30 meters away. The investigation showed the attack was unprovoked and predatory in nature. Curtis subsequently sprayed the bear with pepper spray, but this only aggravated the animal. He grabbed a gun and shot it twice, killing the bear. Patrick Madura was 43 years old, and he died in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Madura was backpacking in the park. His remains were found on September 11th, 2020, near the remote Hazel Creek area where he'd been camping. Backpackers first found an unoccupied tent at Hazel Creek Campsite 82, then discovered what appeared to be human remains across the creek with a bear scavenging in the area and alerted park rangers. An autopsy concluded that Madura had been killed by the bear. This attack was in September of 2020. 2 more attacks on our list. Lainey Malavolta, that is our last named victim. She was 39 years old when she passed away on April 30th, 2021, in Durango, Colorado. Malavolta was attacked and killed while hiking with her dogs in the forest above and to the west of US 550 near Trimble. Her body showed signs of partial consumption. Authorities euthanized a mother black bear and 2 cubs found nearby. After an autopsy, it was determined that the mother bear and one of her cubs had attacked Malavolta. And our last bear attack on this list occurred on July 31st, 2021 to an unidentified female who was 26 years old when she died. The attack occurred in Swan Hills, Alberta. The victim worked for a helicopter company which provided transportation for tree planters when she was attacked by an adult female black bear. The bear was tracked and killed by authorities. There you go. I'm just going to see what that link is to see if she really was unnamed. Because it's weird that she's unnamed, but we have where she works. Maybe the work didn't want to share. It looks like they didn't. Everyone, that is our list. We have successfully read through the entire list of bear attacks, starting in 1780 all the way to 2022. Polar bears, black bears, and brown bears have killed hundreds of people in North America. I'm sure that these aren't all the people. These are just the ones that have been reported and noted down in this list. I want to thank everyone for listening to this 4-part series. It's been incredible making this. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to try and make more like this. I found lists similar to this about cougar attacks in North America, wolf attacks in Europe, shark attacks in Australia and South Africa. So we may do a similar, multi-part series on those going forward. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting the podcast as always. The social media links are below if you want to send me a message, send me some ideas for an episode or a movie to review or a killer cryptid story you'd like me to investigate. Anything like that you can always do. Please feel free to send an email, even if it's just to say hi, thanks for the podcast, I'm still listening. That is always very much appreciated. I do have a Patreon. Don't feel pressured to donate to that if you don't want to, but if you do, the Patreon is also in the description of this episode. Feel free to go there and check it out. I don't post there quite a lot because there's only a couple people subscribing to it, but once we get more people doing it, I will definitely add more content when I can. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sticking with me for 4 parts. I didn't think this would be a 4-part episode. I thought maybe it would be 2 or 3. But yeah, it could have been a 5-parter, honestly. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a great week. I'll see you next week with another episode of Man Eaters. And until then, please stay safe, because as we've learned, it's a jungle out there.